So there are some a lot of neat scientific research on why it is good to be gluten-free. But I would imagine that almost everyone with Lyme, I think that maybe the general population, they say maybe only, even 80% of the general population has a gluten intolerant in one way or another. May not be that bad to even where it affects you, but dealing with Lyme, I've never talked to another Lyme head that has been able to mow down on gluten and not have any kind of problem from it. And then another thing that was hugely important in dealing with the diet was to begin to add in the minerals. Now in my case, I started out with cellect-budwig, launched me into recovery. Now over the years, I've tweaked that a little bit with Lyme. If I can always fall back on the select as a mineral. I know that, and I know Mike's covered it, extensively with dealing with the minerals, but it almost seems that there's not one specific thing that you have to do. It's
multifaceted approach.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you just do one thing, like you said, just the diet, just the frequency generator, it just won't work. You have to do everything, and the minerals were a huge part. When I was at one of my lowest points, and I was actually diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and I had a brain SPECT scan done, showed all the bad parts in my brain that were deteriorating, and a lot of huge cognitive problems. I mean, it was so bad that couldn't remember sentences mid talking to you. I could forget what I'm talking about. It was dreadful, along with all the other anxiety and all these other things that go along with it. And when I implemented, I would say within 10 days of implementing the cellect-budwig protocol, my memory started to, it was strange. It's a strange thing to not have cognitive abilities, to not remember people's names, not to remember where you park, strange things that you hear 90-year-old grandma and grandpa talking about,
right.
Or grandpa's going through this or that, and I was going through it. And within that 10 to 20 day period of using cellect-budwig, I mean, and I remember my wife noticing, and it was just such a blessing, because I was able to remember names and places and numbers, website addresses. I mean, it's just the strangest, oddest thing that they started flowing back and coming back to me, and it was such a blessing. And that's how powerful that the cellect-budwig is. And it's often said in Lyme, because that brain myelin is so juicy, you know what I mean, for lack of a better term, and they love to feed on it. So a lot of people that have Lyme that deal with the neurological symptoms, it's because that fat myelin is slowly degenerating, and then all of our electrical synapses in our brain get cross-hatched and cross-wired, and we lose all kinds of memory.
Almost a total misfire of the brain.
It is absolutely a misfire of the brain. And so it was really awesome to see that begin to come back, and it was quick. I mean, it was probably one of the quickest things in my recovery that happened, that was noticeable right away, that quick, So it was hugely important for me. And now I know because of the dairy issue, you weren't able to use the milk, but and I know Mike's gone over it, but you were able to use the kefir and do that. How was it for you? Did you notice any, things right away with using the Budwig?
Yes, the Budwig definitely catapulted me with a lot of the neurological issues to help to continue to tame those down. The biggest thing too, as far as like the minerals and stuff going into the body, very important with Lyme. The only thing that I would stress is Select is very, very good.